Mom deserves the best, and there's no better place to shop for Mother's Day than Whole Foods Market. They're your destination for unbeatable savings, from premium gifts to show-stopping flowers and irresistible desserts. Start by saving 33% with Prime on all body care and candles. Then get a 15-stem bunch of tulips for just $9.99 each with Prime. Round out Mom's menu with festive rosé, irresistible berry chantilly cake, and more special treats. Come celebrate Mother's Day at Whole Foods Market.
Well, hello, and welcome to episode 166 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here, as always, with Michaela. And Michaela, last week we talked about My Cousin Vinny, and I talked about how my parents rented it on VHS, I watched it one time, had a really good time with it. And then this week, we're coming back with another, I'm not going to even say classic from the 90s, but a movie from the 90s, in Medicine Man, another one that my parents rented, and I watched one time, and you put it on the list. Apparently, this was a movie that you're fond of from your childhood. So walk us through this, Michaela. You're coming up with the schedule. What inspired Medicine Man this week?
So again, my dad probably was the one who inspired this. I was 11. My dad was a single dad for a really long time. And the poor guy, he didn't really date, because he was taking care of me. And I think I probably was a lot. I'm a lot now. So I just imagine me in like a little childhood form, tiny human form. And so one of the things that he would do is he would find movies that were probably not like appropriate for an 11-year-old in terms of like just adult situational content, not like because there was tons of violence or sex, but because like this film, just think about it. It's about a pharmaceutical company that's like trying to do some research. They think they found the cure for cancer. They don't know. I mean, all of this stuff, right? So my dad saw this and saw the preview for it and thought it would be good. We watched it and I fell in love with this movie. It made me want to be a doctor. I wanted to go and like be in the Amazonian rainforest. I wanted to find all the Aborigines or the native folks who lived in the middle of nowhere, because of course we've done horrible things to the ones who live in America. But I was like, there are some tribes that are still like living in places, and I can go and I can like learn about them and all of the like, I don't know, all the socialization that you learn about, and like the ethical questions about, is one person's life versus like the life of a whole nation or a whole world of people that have got cancer. And if you find a cure, but what do you do? Like, I loved this movie, and I stopped watching it at some point. I didn't watch it all the time. It has been probably 25 years since I'd watched it, but
okay.
I saw something about it, Sean Connery or something, and I was like, oh, this would be a really good one to put on the podcast. So if you hate it, I'm real sorry. And full disclosure, when I put it on the podcast, it had been a while since I'd seen it. So, at the time, I didn't know if it would age well or if we were going to be watching this going, oh my gosh, Michaela, what have we done? Like, we need a disclaimer for like how we feel about the, native folks that live in these areas. Like, I didn't know. Turns out it's not so bad, but
Not so bad. The only ethics here are wondering whether you should instruct people to watch Medicine Man or not. And we're going to get into that. But first, Michaela, we definitely need a cocktail. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back to whip up this week's drink.
So, Brian.
Yes.
This cocktail. Okay, so there's a scene in the movie where Dr. Ray Crane, who's played by Lorraine Bracco, she is feeling not so great. She's hungover, or she's like she hadn't slept because she did a bunch of research the night before. And
I think she was just crabby, I think.
Maybe. And so instead of coffee, they didn't really have coffee. What they do is they give her this Yoko juice, right? And they're like, here you go. And she drinks it, and it's like, I don't know, it's like a mix of cocaine and caffeine. I don't know, like the whole time, this whole next scene, like they're trying to go find someone to ask for help, and she is singing like this Yoko, caffeine Yoko espresso. Like, she's making all these jokes about how how much pep there is in her step. And she's like, is there spit in this? What is this? And it turns out there's a whole lot of things in that drink that you probably don't want to know about. And that's where I feel like this drink came from, that we found from High West Distillery. It's called the Medicine Man, and it's got, I don't know, 37 things in it. So buckle in.
Has a lot of things. Buckle in. Absolutely. I don't know if it took its inspiration from the film in that sense. But yeah, it definitely has a lot of things in it for sure. And maybe the recipe crafters there at High West Distillery were sitting down to watch Medicine Man, and they're like, "Go ahead and just get everything out that we have, and we'll put it into a glass, and that would be good." So
Maybe.
let's go ahead and run through this, Michaela. It's a lot of stuff. So this comes from High West Distillery, as we mentioned. So they're calling for their double rye whiskey, which is a beautiful rye whiskey. If you're in the market for one, High West does an amazing job with their rye whiskeys and bourbons and different things like that. Their Campfire one is one that I'm particularly a big fan of there. So it's calling for 3/4 of an ounce of the double rye whiskey. If you can't find the High West Distillery one, or if you have some other rye whiskey, you can just use whatever rye whiskey you've got. But 3/4 of an ounce of that, 3/4 of an ounce of aged rum, a half an ounce of cognac, and 1 bar spoon of Kashaka. That is your liquors. You're going to go ahead and put that all into a shaker tin alongside of 1.5 ounces of coconut water, 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, 1 dash of mole bitters, or Mexican chocolate bitters, and then a half an ounce of pandan syrup. Michaela, what is pandan syrup? Do we know? We bought some. We still don't know what it is.
I mean, it's got this really great taste to it. I will say it's kind of, so apparently pandan syrup is from this grass that you distill into a syrup. It's this really dark bluish green color. It's really strange, but it tastes very, like, I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. It was very earthy and yet not grassy in the sense of like lemongrass. So like a red curry or a green curry flavor. It wasn't like that, but it was very, I don't know, like earthy and like almost like, I don't want to say mushroomy because it's more, I'm just making it sound really bad, but it really was surprisingly good. I really liked it.
Yeah.
The way that it tasted. I thought it was like coffee-ish almost.
Yeah, Michaela is not ever going to get a job for the Pandan Society for sure. There, yeah, it is really interesting. It is like this like bright like greenish blue color. It kind of looks like green NyQuil. Not gonna lie there on that. But yeah, it has this really interesting flavor. It grows like in Southeast Asia, so it's in a lot of that cuisine there. And yeah, it's kind of earthy and kind of sweet. It's really odd. Michaela and I made this drink together, and we sampled just some of the straight pandan syrup, and we spent the better part of 2 hours just trying to fully explain what it tastes like, and we couldn't, and we still can't, obviously. But it's a really interesting kind of elixir to add into this, and it kind of brings everything together. So go ahead and throw all of that into a shaker tin with some ice, give it a shake, and then per High West Distillery's instructions, you're going to strain that into a mason jar with 3 ice cubes. And then you're going to put on top of that a little Mochi ice cream treat. It's going to be delicious. We got some Mochi ice creams or mochi ice creams there from the grocery store. They've got some different flavors. You went with the salted caramel, Michaela. That was a delicious option, I thought. And then you're going to basically sip and enjoy this. This was really complicated to put together. They're not complicated to put together, but there were a lot of ingredients in this. I thought it was going to taste muddled and not that good, but I was incorrect because this was delicious.
This was delicious. People who are listening, my dad who's listening to my one person who's listening to this podcast, who's excited about talking about Medicine Man. This is actually really good. So if you can get all the ingredients, it's worth your time. I was shocked at how good it tasted. And I have to say, garnishing it with the mochi or the mochi, if you don't know what that is, it's like a Japanese dough that is like uncooked. And usually in America, we get it with like ice cream on the inside of it. It added this really lovely like umptiousness to it. I don't really know what the symbolism there is there with the actual film, The Medicine Man, but I don't care because it was delicious and it's worth everyone's time. You should go do it. I picked a salted caramel one because of the whiskey and the rum, and I wanted to, I thought it would be really strange to do it with something like lime or strawberry, but any flavor that you can find probably would work fine. Definitely like the mouthfeel is what you're going for, and that really complemented so beautifully with this drink, which is so strange because I can't really describe how the drink tastes. We really did try for
we tried
hours
really hard,
trying
yeah,
to pinpoint it.
to figure it out. Yeah, it was really good, and yeah, I think that the mochi had just enough like floury, like doughy, slightly sweetness because the drink itself is very stiff. It's a lot of liquor in there, and then the coconut water and pandan syrup, basically. So yeah, it was really complex. In that
Hmm.
sense, it tasted like with the addition of the cognac there and the aged rum, it had a little bit of like alcoholic like sweetness to it, I guess, in that sense. And then you got a little bit of pepper from the rye. But yeah, this is just really good. It came together really nicely. If you happen to have these ingredients on hand, if you have some pandan syrup just lying about, this is a good way to use that up, I guess. If you're busy making some foods with that, try that out. Yeah, I don't know if you're ever going to put this together out there, but this was really good. If you ever happen to come across these ingredients or just want to try something that's really, really unique and really interesting, this is a good one to try. So, Michaela, let's do this. Let's go ahead and mix up like 3 or 4 more of these, and then I'll go watch Medicine Man, and we'll be right back to chat about this week's film.
Hollywood Pictures presents Sean Connery and Lorraine Bracco in a John McTiernan film, Medicine Man.
Spoiler warning for Medicine Man that nobody saw or nobody liked. I feel I'm gonna okay. So if you've not seen this film, apparently don't bother because it's not worth your time. But I loved it. Oh my gosh. So if you've not seen Medicine Man, look, skip the film, I guess, and make the drink because the drink is
Make the
actually
drink.
really good.
Mhm.
But we're going to talk about all the things. Did they ever find the cure for cancer? What happened to all of the people of the tribe? What happened between Dr. Ray Crane and I don't know, the Medicine Man? We're going to talk about all those things. So if you don't want to hear about it beforehand, go watch it. I mean, I think you can find it at your local library. And yeah,
Yes.
that'll be good.
That's right. Yeah, you can rent it from your local library. Yeah, so straight from 11-year-old Michaela's lips to your ears there in podcast land, Medicine Man. This was released in 1992. It was directed by John McTiernan, and it stars Lorraine Bracco as Dr. Ray Crane, also known as Dr. Brooklyn, and then Dr. Bronx, even though Dr. Brooklyn rolls off the tongue a little bit better. And Sean Connery is playing Dr. Robert Campbell, the Medicine Man. So Michaela, we talked about the John McTiernan film before, Die Hard, one of the all-time great action adventure films
Mhm.
out there. John McTiernan got his starts, and then he came out with a little known film called Predator in 1987. That was one of the pinnacles of the action genre of the 80s, and then comes with Die Hard in 1988, Hunt for Red October in 1990, which got 3 Academy Award nominations, starring Sean Connery there as well. And then in 1992, for some reason, John McTiernan says, "You know what I'm really good at? It's directing these action adventure thriller films. So I'm gonna bring everyone Medicine Man coming." You might have thought maybe Predator was what we were going to be covering, John McTiernan next, but nope, Medicine Man, Michaela.
Medicine Man. I will say there are some truly scary moments in this film, but that
No.
were there were
There's 105 scary minutes of it, roughly.
oh my
Oh,
gosh. It's just no. I get no. Okay. Well, let's just get into it. Okay.
there are There are
There's some scary moments. Come on.
moments. Sure, absolutely. If you're scared of heights, this isn't a good movie
This is
for
not a good
you,
movie
for
for
sure.
you.
If you're scared of being stranded in the jungle, this movie probably isn't good for you, and maybe it's not good for Dr. Ray Crane. Let's get this movie started, Michaela here. So Lorraine Bracco is playing Dr. Ray Crane. She gets told from the pharmaceutical company Aston Laboratories she is to make her way into the jungle to deliver this package, basically, to Dr. Robert Campbell. She's She's playing messenger service for this company. We later to find out she's in charge of this company, so it seems like she could have given herself the directive or maybe sent someone else in her stead there. But she's going to be on a boat. This is my favorite part of the whole movie. It's right at the very beginning. She gets onto this boat. It's going down this river in the rainforest. It looks really, really pretty. It also looks like if you get stung by a lot of mosquitoes, this is going to be a bad time for you. It's going to be a bad time for Dr. Ray Crane for sure. It is wet. It is muddy, but she finally makes her way to the camp of Dr. Robert Campbell.
She does. Now, a little bit of background. They try to explain it. So she gets there, and Dr. Campbell is like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" They don't meet in the best of times. It's like late in the evening. He's got this toucan headdress on. He's had a lot of, I don't know, medicine. I don't know. There's this drink that they make that looks like it kind of looks like a strawberry daiquiri, but they spin in it to like speed up the fermentation process. So it sounds delightful. But he'd been drinking a lot of it, so he was not at his best. She was tired and covered in mosquito bites, and she's like, "Hey, I'm here. I've got this spectrometer thing for you, this machine." And he's like, "Who are you? Thanks for my machine, but what are you doing here?" Dr. Campbell had left the post that he had been originally assigned to, and no one had heard from him for 3 years. And so I think that that's one of the reasons why Dr. Crane decides to go herself, because the Aston Laboratories is like, "Look, he's not costing us a lot of money because nobody hears from him, but we'd like to know what the heck he's doing." And so she shows up. He and some of the tribal leaders, I guess, are like, "What is a woman doing here? I did not ask for you. I need somebody who can actually get this stuff done." But he's messing with the wrong woman. And I love the scene the next morning where Dr. Campbell's like, "Look, I asked for one of 3 men to show up with this machine. You are not any of them." And she's like, "Yeah, because I'm smarter than them. I'm better than them. I'm more accredited than them. I've done bigger things than them. And I am here, by the way, to keep you from getting shut down. So you can play nice or not." And I really, really loved this as an 11-year-old. I guess it shouldn't have occurred to me that sexism was going to happen. And I don't think at first that he was actually quite sexist. We find out that his last research partner was his wife, who had left him. So maybe he was just like, "I don't need another woman," But either way, I really love that she's like holding her own. And he's like, "Well, Dr. Sealove is who I really want." And she's like, "Yeah, he retired." And she's like, "Well, who replaced him?" And she's like, "Me, you bum." Like, "I did, because I'm brilliant." And so then he tests her knowledge, and he ends up eating a ton of crow because she's amazing. And within like 15 seconds of looking at this thing on the machine, is able to be like, "Here's the molecule or the synthesized serum that you've been trying to create." And lo and behold, it's nothing that we can actually resynthesize. So it's out in the wild somewhere. And what does it do anyway?
What is it? Plant extract?
Full marks. Continue.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. She gets there. She makes both sides of the argument for Dr. Campbell here, because basically Dr. Ray Crane is just screaming for like the first half of this film, speaking very loudly. There, Lorraine Bracco is in this role for some reason or another. But yeah, she's making the argument that she's smarter than these guys. She should totally be there, while also making the argument for Dr. Campbell that she's not a field scientist researcher, so she shouldn't be there at the same time. So I guess she's covering all of her bases. She just wants to get a bath, get some food, and go home, which is exactly what Robert Campbell tries to get her to do, but then she decides to stay anyway, because I guess she is smitten by the fact that he has found maybe the miracle cure of the 20th century. We go into the village. He shows her this woman who had this cancer diagnosis from like the big city hospital there. He gave her this stuff, and she was cured in like a couple of days, and he wants to prove it to her. So he gets the little guinea pigs out, super cute guinea pigs, and he's like, "I'm going to inject this," or have injected them with this cancer stuff, and then you have this one. You can sleep with these guinea pigs, and then tomorrow I'm going to give it this medicine, and it's going to be cured of the cancer, and then you'll believe me when I say that I found this miracle cure.
Yeah. And it's interesting because she's he keeps calling her Brooklyn, but she's from the Bronx. She's Lorraine Bracco's got this amazing accent. She's trying to talk to him. She's like, you think you found the cure for cancer? You need to, you didn't, did you write your notes down? Like, you need to have, we need protocols and things in place, because she's thinking about all the things the pharmaceutical company is going to need, and all the things that research papers are going to need, and all the things that could happen if this was actually true. And he is not thinking about any of that. He's like, I found the cure for cancer, but I can't reproduce it. I've got this serum that works. I gave, some of it to this lady who had cancer. We're using some of it to test the animals, but I'm going to run out. I need to figure out how to get more of it. And he thinks he found it up at the top of the canopies of the rainforest in this plant. It's this really beautiful, like, I don't know, it looks like a bird of paradise flower that is legitimately at the very top of the canopy trees. So there's these really cool scenes where he's trying to help her, what is the word?
I don't know. It's like the opposite of repelling. They're basically ascending up into this tree to go get these flowers, and that's kind of nice. You get the nice vista there. You do see the smoke where they're building this road. I guess the pharmaceutical company is building this road. I'm not 100% sure who is building this road, but for some reason, everyone knew about it, and that this road was coming the way of this village, which is bad news. Which I guess gives a little bit of urgency to the story. Not really. We'll get to that here in a minute. But yeah, they're up there. They're like sliding down this zip line kind of thing. They get a couple of these flowers, and they're back to do the research on this stuff. This is probably the best part of the movie for me, is when they're doing kind of the research of this, because I really like the set design for Dr. Robert Campbell's like hut kind of thing that he's living in. He's got his workspace in. It looks really cool and really neat, I think. And kind of the opening scene when Dr. Crane first gets there, it's like pouring down rain, and Robert Campbell's going around and like shutting all of these like shutters and stuff. It looks really cool. But they're going through this, and they keep trying to like synthesize this thing, and they keep doing it like time and time again, and it never seems to work out. Fool me once, red flowers, shame on you. Fool me 300 times, shame on us for not varying up this elixir any, and we keep getting the same result. But it's not great, though, because, as I mentioned, a road is coming in. But there's also another problem now. We are running dangerously low on the serum that Dr. Robert Campbell had synthesized. And there's a sick kid in the village, and now you're torn. So they're scientists, but they're also doctors. Do you save the life of this one kid, or do you save the life of many with this cure for cancer?
Yeah. We find out a little bit more about Dr. Campbell and what is driving him to do this, right? Because he was, he's played by Sean Connery. He's got this really amazing character because he's very prickly. He likes things the way he likes them. You can tell, like, at first he and Dr. Crane do not get along at all, but he does really sweet things. Like, he gives the kids all these chocolate covered ants. That I just now watched this film, and I realized that was one of the ways in which he was keeping them all like in his good graces and healthy, and because he'd give them these little treats, and you're thinking, oh, how sweet. He helps them with basic things like a stomach ache. He had some Alka-Seltzer, and that's how he became thought of as the medicine man, which incidentally insulted the real tribal medicine man. The real tribal medicine man was like, dude, seriously, you don't know anything about anything. And so he like skedaddles and leaves. And now he's like, hey, I wonder if the real medicine man of this tribe may know what's so great about these flowers, what's so great about what's in them that's keeping everyone healthy. We also find out that there was a little town called Makara that, and I think this part is based on some historical truth. Dr. Campbell was a doctor. He went to Makara and he infected them unknowingly with the flu, and it eviscerated that whole village. There were like 250 dead people within like 3 months of the common cold or the flu or something like that. And it has weighed on him heavily because it's not that he didn't mean it, he didn't mean for that to happen. And he thought he was doing good, and he was doing it for the greater good because he was working for this pharmaceutical company to like get a painkiller or something like that. And he's like, it doesn't, those lives matter too. Right. And I really loved that that idea that, we do a lot of damage trying to do good in the world as humans, right? We make choices, and how do we live with the choices that we make when we see the effects? And so Dr. Campbell never quite forgave himself. It's why his wife left him. He could never let her forgive him either. And so we really humanize Dr. Campbell in all of this. And that's why when we see this little sick boy who now has the same issues, he's got these, I think we think he has lymphoma because his lymph nodes in his neck are like swollen and he's not able to breathe. Dr. Crane is like, look, I'm not a monster. I think it's more important that we save the world. And he's like, if we don't figure out a way to synthesize this or find more of this, then it's all for nothing anyway. And so she gives in, she goes ahead and gives the boy the last of the medicine. And they try to talk to the medicine man of the tribe, who it's really interesting. I love this scene because he knows exactly what's healing everybody, but he won't tell Dr. Campbell. He does, but he says it in a way where, of course, Dr. Campbell doesn't hear. And what he says is, that flower is pointless. That flower doesn't have any power to heal. It is just a house for bugs.
Yep.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. So yeah, they have to go find the medicine man, though, of the tribe here, this indigenous people there. So that's a like kind of the second third of the movie is them trying to track down the medicine man who had left right when Dr. Campbell had come in and kind of stolen his thunder, and that guy got ran out of town there. So they're on this expedition, I guess, to go find him there. That's when the caffeinated drink that Dr. Ray Crane has and is joking about through there. I will say, if you're running against the clock and you're trying to come up with this cure for cancer, maybe you both don't need to go on the expedition. Maybe one of you stays back and continues doing research while the other one goes to talk to the medicine man. Maybe that's an option. That's an option. Dr. Ray Crane does end up passing out, though, in camp, and she has a bit of a vision of this medicine man character like jumping on top of her and painting this thing on her head, which apparently is real, really happens. Now she has a sweet blue tattoo on her forehead. But yeah, we finally get the information that the flower doesn't contain any of these magical healing properties. So back to square one. So what happens? The doctors go back to the village. They go back to their research. They keep running the same test, getting the same results, which is what happens when you run the same tests, until Dr. Ray Crane has to make up a new batch of this baseline solution. It's just some sugar solution there. She does, and lo and behold, the sugar that she used had some ants in it. Now, we'd seen some ants before when they had the town come together to like help harvest these flowers and stuff. I think Dr. Ray Crane is like tearing one open and all these ants spill out of it. That might have been a tip off there, Dr. Crane, if you're so smart. But that's okay. We figured out now that it's not the flowers after all. Just like the medicine man of the tribe said, it's these ants. So what do? You got to go and you got to stop this road being built. And so, instead of getting the solution done real quick, so you'd have it in your notes, got to go stop the road from being built. And that's when a fiery blaze is going to come your way. That's bad news.
That's bad news. So this scene makes me so angry. I was so angry when I saw it in the theater when I was young. And I'm still so angry because there are so many reasons why it did not have to go down this way. Like there's a bulldozer. It's like I don't know. There's a bulldozer. There's a fire. They're setting fire to the trees so that the road can be built. They go and they even try to talk to the logging company captain and say, hey, just give us a couple days. And they're like, no.
No.
Instead of like maybe going and grabbing a couple ants. I don't know. This part is when, for me, the plot kind of completely falls apart and it makes me so angry.
I will say that they make a big deal about this road in like the first 5 minutes of the film, and then they don't mention it again until the final 5 minutes of the film.
That's not true. When they get up, they're looking for the medicine man, and she gets all the way up and she can see the smoke, and she's like, I had no idea how close it was. And he's like, yeah, well, death looks at us. And like, you don't talk about death over a man who's dying. Like, that ain't cool. And she's like, well, we got to do something. And he's like, what is there to do? And so it's
which is at the very end of the film. She sees it and then they go back. and
Yeah.
then all of
I
a sudden
mean,
the thing's at their doorstep.
it just speaks to me, it speaks once again to Dr. Campbell's like inability to see past some of the things. He's like, look, this road is coming. We got to find this soon, because that's really the thing. And here's the other piece that makes me so mad, that I don't understand the ending, because apparently somebody like goes to Dr. Campbell's trying to stop them, like stand in the way of the road being built, and like so there's a fist fight that happens, and one of the people that is driving, or the person that's driving the bulldozer, gets pulled from the bulldozer, and Dr. Ray Crane doesn't, she just stands there and watches as the bulldozer like takes this pile of burning trees and like pushes it into the forest, where then it completely sets the entire forest on fire. And I don't know when they stop it. I mean, this is what they do for a living. This is what they do for a living. So they should know
Not very good.
how to
Not very good at
prevent
this.
that, or how to like
very good.
stop it so that it only creates the road and not like burns down the whole forest. I don't know.
Not very good. Not very good.
That part was hard for me to accept.
Yeah, so the whole like entirety of the forest burns down. We go, I guess it's like the next morning then, because it's nighttime when all this stuff happens. And Dr. Crane and Dr. Campbell are the only two left. It would appear everyone else is gone, have either shuffled off or perished in this fire. I don't know, because they're the only two laying around. All the research there is burnt to a crisp. That's bad. You could have got that sorted out, and then maybe you went and talked about the road. I don't know for sure. But apparently the indigenous tribe are totally cool then. They're going to move on to this next place, right? They're going to go live where the medicine man had moved to. Found him a place there by the river. That's good. They have a place to go. I would think that maybe they would be a little saltier at Dr. Campbell and Dr. Crane, but now apparently they're fine to go with them. And even Dr. Crane now, she's going to stay, right? She's got a blue tattoo on her forehead. She was engaged to someone, on a side note. That happened in the movie too. She was engaged. She was in love with this guy. But after Sean Connery yells at you for 95 minutes, you decide to give up your whole life and just go off with him into the forest to live there and carry on your research, which shouldn't be that hard. They ran that test 14,000 times in like the 2 days, and all they needed to do was throw in some ants. They wouldn't even need to leave, because guess what? If that forest burnt down, ants are still going to be there on the ground. Just grab some ants. You're good to go. But that's okay. That's okay. They have to go and carry on their research and come back for Medicine Man 2, Electric Boogaloo in the future. No, that never happened. John McTiernon went back to directing action films after this. And that's where it ends, Michaela. We do not have the cure for cancer at the end of all this, so a lot to do about nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, but okay. It's very hard for me to defend any of that. Look, I don't know. Apparently Michaela has a knack for really loving crappy films. I don't know. I just really look, I think the writing is amazing. I think the banter between don't look at me. No, just the banter between Dr. Campbell and Dr. Crane is great. I love that part. Because she just will not let him just talk to her like she's stupid. He's like, and then when she ends up falling down, and she ends up like she's drinking that Yoko stuff, they're on their way to go find the medicine man, and she like slips down the mountain, and he's like, where'd she go? And then he finds her, and she is literally like on this precipice thing on the outer, and he's like, do not move. And she's like, I can move if I want. And he's like, no, really, don't move. And so he comes to save her, and he says things like, I promise you can cry all you want when we're done with this, but right now I really need you to listen. And then at the end, they get in the water, like they jump in the water, and she's fine, but she's crying, and he's like, don't cry, come on. And she's like, you promised me I could cry. It's like, I don't know, he's curmudgeon-y, but he also likes her. I don't know, I think they like each other, but it's more of a intellectual kind of coming together of the minds. I don't know, like a mutual respect at the end. I don't know. I didn't like the plot movement at the end, where it basically creates a situation where they have to keep looking. I didn't like the way that ended as a kid, and I really didn't like the way it ended as an adult. But I kind of like the change of heart that, Dr. Ray Crane and she comes in with the idea that she's going to figure out what the heck Dr. Campbell's doing. She's going to probably fire him. She's going to move on. She's going to go back. She's going to marry her, the guy, whatever his name is, the guy that she met at an Aston Laboratories gala, who probably makes $1 bazillion doing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was going to do that. And the people and Dr. Campbell changed her enough where she has decided that this is actually more of a calling for her and she wants to stay. And maybe I internalized all that and did all that work so that the director didn't have to, but I really liked it. I don't know.
I feel like you might have been meeting them more than halfway. I mean, yeah, Dr. Robert Campbell is pretty good in this movie. It's Sean Connery. He's James Bond. He's, charismatic as much as he needs to be. I didn't care for Dr. Ray Crane in this. She yelled a lot in this movie. Just yelled and yelled and yelled. Yelled from the beginning of the movie until the end of the movie. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand this sudden about face to just stay forever and definitely just throw off your engagement. She is apparently in charge of this company now. Doesn't she have some sort of responsibilities for that? Did she appoint a successor? Did she give word? And also, how did Dr. Campbell not know that she was in charge of this company? Clearly, he was corresponding back and forth to get the stuff. He got a shipment of golf balls. He has to be able to write someone a letter. They didn't think to say, "Hey, you have a new boss now. Our whole company is ran by someone else." What? Come on now. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It was.
Can we talk about one thing that I do think you will agree with me on?
The drink was really good. I like the drink a lot.
The drink was okay. Two things. The second thing that you will agree with me on. So the music for Medicine Man was composed and conducted by Jerry Goldsmith. And
I will agree with that. Yes.
That yes, because that's a fact. But it was also really amazing. And I had forgotten how much I loved the score. I loved it.
No, and Jerry Goldsmith is an excellent composer, has done, some work on some amazing soundtracks. I did not care for the music in this, especially I think it was meant to be some sort of a love theme when they're up in the canopy of the trees, and I thought it came off as so cheesy, and maybe that's because I was so not buying into their relationship at all, that I just couldn't get my head around it. No.
Oh man, okay. I loved it. It started and I hummed along with it, and I haven't seen this movie in 25 years. And I was like,
I mean, in fairness, the soundtrack is probably way better if you take the movie away from it.
The sigh of indignity. Okay.
The sigh of indignity.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the intention of the movie was supposed to be. I didn't find it to be comedic. I didn't find it to be romantic. I didn't find it to be all that dramatic, even really. Every time that the plot needed to move along, something just randomly happened to propel it along that you're supposed to be feeling was existing there the whole time. Like I mentioned, the road, right? They talk about it at the beginning of the movie, and then they basically talk about it at the end. Oh, the road is close. Oh yeah, it is. It's right here. I think maybe they would know. Maybe the people in that tribe would know and say something, speak up. There was one funny line that I did like, is when one of the members of the tribe there is sitting and talking with Dr. Robert Campbell there, talking about her. It's a woman, and if she's pretty or not, and says no, that she's not, and she's like, she is smart though, and because she doesn't like you, which I thought was pretty funny. That was the best line in the movie by far. But yeah, I don't know. I as we mentioned, I'd seen this movie one time growing up on VHS. Once was enough, but I got it again. So thank you, Michaela, for that. But it did come with a really good cocktail.
It did come with a really good cocktail. So, more critical acclaim for this. Apparently, on Rotten Tomatoes, this has gotten a whole 17%. So I'm wrong. In my love of this movie, Lorraine Bracco's performance earned her a nomination for the Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Actress.
She didn't win though, so someone else.
She didn't win. I guess that's true. Okay,
so that's a victory in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean,
So
and it's strange, like to think like Lorraine Bracco did this in the middle of, she'd done Goodfellas, just I think 2 years prior to this, right? She was in
mhm.
Goodfellas, what widely acclaimed as one of the great films of all time, one of the all-time great films, and then went on to be a very pivotal character in The Sopranos, widely acclaimed as one of the best television shows of all time. So Lorraine Bracco has some hits, but I don't know. This one's a miss for me, Michaela.
This was not it. Okay. Well, thanks again for putting up with it. It means a lot to me. Again, for those of you who don't know, I pretty much do all the fun stuff. Brian does all the work, and some of the fun stuff is picking out the movies. Thanks for giving it a try. Sorry
Yeah,
you
that's
didn't
okay.
like it.
That's all right.
I will say
Everyone is not meant to like everything. It's okay. It's
that's
okay
true.
to
That's
not
true.
like something. It's okay.
I will say my biggest concern with watching it after not seeing it for 25 years is that it was going to be disparaging or like
Oh,
white savior-ish a little
I
bit.
completely agree with that. Yeah, I was very concerned
And
about that.
I was real concerned, and I was glad that it didn't seem to do that. In fact, it in my opinion, it really was probably the first film that I saw that really questioned a lot of, hey, we are not Americans not the savior of the world, and we don't need to be doing this. We're doing more harm than good, right?
Mhm.
And everything that we do has an effect, and whether we knew it or we didn't. And I really liked that kind of theme throughout. What Dr. Campbell, he's like, you don't think he meant to do anything, but he sees, and that's why he's such a jerk to Dr. Crane at first. He's like, where's your mask? I need to see all of your shots. Like, you could come in here and you could wipe out this whole thing, and you don't even know. You're not even thinking about it because you're from America where everybody gets vaccinated and everybody does this stuff. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know. I can't speak for if this, like, where this would be, to people who would know better, where it would sit.
Mhm.
But it
Sure.
definitely got me thinking about things in that way. If I hadn't watched this film, I wouldn't have been. I would be 20 years later when we really start thinking about this, or really talking about, the effects that we have when we think we're trying to quote unquote save the world. What worlds we're destroying in the meantime, and I thought that was cool. And again, I'm probably giving the film a lot more credit than it deserves, but that's what got me thinking, and that's why I like it. So.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. That is Medicine Man. So let us know what you thought of Medicine Man, if you have watched it ever, or if you've never seen it. If you would like to see it now, we both got it from our library because it's not available to stream anywhere for free. You can rent it from places if you want to pick this up and give it a try. So let us know if you've seen it, if you saw it back in '92 when it released, what you thought about it, what you think of John McTiernan's other films. Is there a better one that we should cover? Predator? Yes, definitely. Let us know all that. You can do that on our social medias. It's at Drink the Movies on Instagram and X and Threads and Blue Sky and Facebook.com/drinkthemovies. You can go to our Patreon and support us there if you would like to. That's a great place to get bonus content, bonus episodes, hangouts, all sorts of stuff, early podcast releases, all the things. That's patreon.com/drinkthemovies. We've got our merchandise shop up now, Michaela. It is drinkthemovies.square.site. You can go there and you can buy a hat and a sweatshirt and a t-shirt and a coffee mug. You'll be all set for the day. That way, we appreciate everyone who has taken the time to go check that out. And if you decide to make yourself a Medicine Man cocktail, please send us pictures. We love it when you guys send us pictures of what you're drinking, what movies you're watching, if you're trying to recreate these recipes, or you have another good recipe. Maybe there's another Medicine Man recipe out there that has a higher ABV that would have helped me a little bit more, or I don't know, Michaela.
No. Mean. All right. I got nothing.
Michaela's got nothing.
I got
How
nothing.
about this, Michaela? Where can people find the podcast? Make sure they're
That
subscribed, leave us a review. Where can they do that?
That I can do. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Good Pods. Anywhere.
Maybe don't review
where
us after seeing Medicine Man.
Yeah, I mean, well, don't review us reviewing Medicine Man. Look,
Oh,
we were
yeah, do that.
we're 50, probably 40% pro medicine man at this point, and all of that is me. So that's fine. But you can like us, you can subscribe. There's a subscribe button on your rectangle. If you're listening and you're liking what you're hearing, leave us a 5-star review. Share us on all your social medias. It really helps us get all the Drink the Movies out there. We have so many cool things happening now with all of our merchandise. Check that stuff out. It's really cool. They're really good products. We test them all. We're in the process of getting more stuff kind of tested and looked at, and we really want it to be something that brings all the movie lover, cocktail lovers together.
Absolutely. So that's going to wrap it up here for Medicine Man. Let us know all those things. We appreciate you for tuning in to this one. Go rent Medicine Man. Check it out. Let me know if I'm right or if Michaela's right, where we came down on this one. So let us know all that stuff. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk to you next time on
Drink
the
the Movies. I want a meal and a bath.